I was curious about this one. So many stores here sell like just throw away perfectly good food. Like it's a thing very, very like it's like, oh, we threw away like a fucking 20 kilos of bread that was baked today. Like, I don't know, man. Why didn't you do something with that? You might want to do a react video about the Steam Machine vid. Linus literally spends the entire video saying that Valve has created the best computer because starts listing KDE features. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right for Linus.
Every single day, all around America, unsold food is thrown straight into the trash, even if it is perfectly tasty and edible. It is actually against company policy to hand out or donate this soon-to-be trash in any way, shape, or form.
So we do have a system for a lot of stores here called Second Bite. But even then, there's a lot of stuff they won't take. So it's like perfectly good food, like bread that was baked that day, just gets thrown out.
I was 16 years old working my first job at a supermarket.
Or when I was working at McDonald's, like we had food that we were selling to customers 30 minutes ago, and now that food has to go in the bin. It's like, can I not just take the food? It's like, no, that's against policy. That you can't do that. Yeah, but it's going in the bin. Like, yeah. So I can take it. No. But it was going to go in the bin. Yeah. So what's the difference? Put it in the bin.
Market bakery when I found this out, and my mind was blown. And it still blows my mind to this day. And after being rage baited by my manager, I'll get into that in the story, I devised a devious plot, the donut heist.
Oh,
now,
no.
for any corporate recruiters watching this ready to hire and fire me, please watch the entire video before jumping to conclusions because you are also a human being. I'm getting ahead of myself, and so let me first give some context to what led up to the day of the heist and set the scene. The story starts on the very first day of my job during orientation, and I had a coworker assigned to me to show me the ropes, and I'll call her Emily. She
Okay.
was maybe in her early to mid 20s at the time, and she and I also got along no problem. Now,
Fair
while
enough.
you don't need to watch the previous storytime video to understand this one, I do give more context there about the place I was working at. But all you need to know for this video is that since this was a bakery place inside a supermarket that I will call Luigi's, there was a much larger employee area alongside the perimeter of the building where there was a storage for coolers, trash
Right,
compactors, inventory, etc., alongside large dumpsters leading out from the back door. Anyways, for the first half of my first shift of my first day, Emily's giving me my usual orientation stuff. She's telling me where everything is, where to go to grab whatever you need, where to put the boxes for compacting, blah, blah, blah. In the second half of my shift, she takes me to the actual bakery counter where I'll be serving customers and again gives me the spiel on where everything is, how to grab what.
I worked out there was a program called FoodNet that picked up old food from grocery stores and stuff and did public distributions of whoever thought they needed it and showed it. Yeah, that's good. It is good, but there's still, I don't know about that one, but for a lot of the ones here, there's a lot of stuff they just won't take. Usually baked goods they won't touch.
How to work the register, slice bread, etc., etc. As it gets towards the end of my shift and the end of the day, Emily tells me to start loading up any unsold pastries onto a large rolling tray and, well, roll them to the back rooms, the other kind. And in this room was this large ass trash bin already half filled with discarded sweets and other random stuff, and she tells me to dump all of the rest of the bakery items into that bin as she walks away. My mind is blown. I am standing there flabbergasted because as far as I could tell, the donuts and sweets I rolled in looked perfectly
Yeah, you were selling them 10 minutes ago, and now it's time to throw them in the bin.
fine. They didn't look moldy, they didn't feel stale, they weren't trying to speak to me, but as this was my first day of my first job at 16 years old, I assumed that these fancy adults had to have a good reason for instructing me to throw away these donuts that looked perfectly good. And plus, I wasn't there earlier in the day because I was being given orientation, and so maybe something happened to these donuts that I don't know about, and that's why they're being thrown out. So I do exactly what I'm told. I whip out my phone to record a video for my friends and take a picture as I throw out what looked like perfectly good donuts, and that was that. By the way, I had to dig this out of my Snapchat memories, and I actually thought this was lost footage. Anyways, fast forward a few days when I'm working morning shift, and on the next evening shift I get, I'm back at the bakery section tending to customers, except this time I'm working behind the counter and baking goods all day. I don't think too much, and when evening time comes around and as Emily and I start closing the section, she once again tells me to load up the donuts and other pastries onto the same trays, and once again take them out back to throw them away. This time, since I was working at the bakery,
Honestly, like, all of this is just basically, it is a mix of if corporate keeps the food, if corporate gives away the food, that'll lower the value of the product. If corporate... it's both lowering the value of the food and also because what will happen is there'll be people who will wait outside the store before the store closes, right? And that they're like, oh well, then if they wait outside the store, then they won't buy the donuts. And these are people that were never going to buy the donuts anyway because they didn't have the money for the donuts. It is that and also health code stuff where it's like, oh, but like, what if something happens? We were selling the food 10 minutes ago. What if something happens though when the store's closed? Now that the store's closed, it's not covered by our by our insurance. That would be bad. Blah blah blah. All this bullshit.
Counter my entire shift, I know that the donuts I was being asked to throw away were perfectly fine. In fact, there were sweets in there that I knew we had baked just 2 hours ago, hoping to sell them before closing, which obviously they weren't sold, and that now
it's also cheaper to dump it than redistribute it, or having to put... No, I get that it's cheaper to do that. What I really don't like, though, is that they chuck things out without even giving, like, at the bare minimum, letting the employees take it, right? Like, I totally get not, like, having a distribution network and all, like, fair enough. But, like, if there's food left over that you are just selling, the people that are working there, give them the food if they want the food. Think restaurants should just give it to a homeless shelter? Yeah, like, obviously that does take extra effort with, like, distribution and all that. Like, I get it. I totally do. But at a bare minimum, let the employees take it.
I was being asked to throw them away. And unless they were magical pastries like Cinderella that turned into monsters when the bell struck midnight, that's not even the story, we were throwing out perfectly good food. I stopped Emily this time, and I'm paraphrasing, but I essentially asked her, why are we throwing away these perfectly good pastries?
I've asked this question as well when I was at McDonald's. Why are we throwing... We have a bunch of nuggets here. We were just selling them. Why are we throwing them away? Because we are.
I am Gen Z. The older side of Gen Z, sure, but Gen Z nonetheless. Most of Gen Z, from what I've seen, does not even try to pretend like we enjoy, how do I put this, the corporate facade. That doesn't mean Gen Z won't work or do our jobs. I mean, don't make us do interpretive dances before the shift starts to, quote-unquote, improve morale, or say that we are one big family, because you and I damn well know that we would be replaced before our bodies are even cold in the ground. And while I am generalizing, I am well aware, I usually find that millennials feel the same way, or at least the younger millennials, except they are better at hiding it, and I'm not blaming them since they gotta pay their bills. I can tell Emily also thought that throwing away this perfectly good food was a bunch of BS, and she says something like, well, that's just what they want us to do. And
yeah, she's like, yeah, well,
a defeated way. So once again, I rolled the donuts out to the same room with the...
Yeah, pretty much everyone working there is like, yep, that's what corporate wants. That's what corporate wants. I actually had a manager at McDonald's who would, like, most of the managers were like, no, throw the food away, throw the food away. I had a manager who was totally fine with us eating the food. Now, she ended up getting fired. Not for that, but for various other things. But she wasn't playing along with the little game.
Big ass trash can, and I may have eaten 2, 3, or 8 donuts while throwing them out like a big...
Yeah, brother. So the other thing with McDonald's, so this is the other justification McDonald's has. They're like, oh, well, you've got to count the food. So they want you to, like, count exactly how much you're throwing away. And my question was, why can't we count it and then eat the food? What? So we count the food so we know how much we're throwing out and then we eat the food? No, that would make too much sense. Apparently there are regulations about it too. You can't just give food away because like that due to health regulations. Something restaurants have been sued. Yeah. And that's pretty much what it is. It's like it's trying to avoid any sort of possible problem.
Rat bastard. But anyways, the entire time I'm thinking to myself, man, what a waste of food. And you know what? Let me take some out to the breakout room. Keep in mind, there was at least like 80 to 100 donuts I was tasked with throwing out. So I packaged 1 box of donuts, 1 singular box. So like 12 donuts.
Oh, no.
That I would take to the breakout room just as a little treat for my coworkers.
He did the thing that you're not allowed to do.
Again, they were going straight into the trash. I get into the breakout room and my manager's already in there. She sees me setting down the box of donuts and springs up and...
Nope, you can't do do that?
Wags a finger in my face and barks, we do not do that around here. Okay, first of all, you're a manager at a bakery, not a drill instructor. Chill the fuck out. Second of all, I didn't even know it was against company policy to hand out these soon-to-be thrown-away donuts to the fellow coworkers just for them to enjoy. I just look at her and say something along the lines of, oh, no, these were the donuts we were supposed to throw out. I thought it was kind of a waste, so I took them here in case anyone else wanted to eat them instead, because I'm thinking she thought I was actively like snatching away boxes of donuts straight from the customers or something like that. And she says, this is against company policy. Now, Emily,
yeah, that's the answer to everything from a manager who's like hates their job. Thankfully, most of the managers I've had are willing to just be like, yeah, this is just fucking stupid. It's corporate bullshit. I don't like it. You don't have to like it. That's just the way it is. Thankfully, a lot of like small scale store, like a lot of like you know, little restaurants will actually give things out.
Explained earlier that we were throwing out pastries because that's what we were told. But this is my first time I'm hearing that there was actually a policy in place forbidding perfectly good leftovers to be given out.
It probably said it somewhere in the 30-page contract you signed when you started the job. That's such an unfortunate situation to be in, being the guy that throws it out. Well, also, if you just put it in your bag, like, you know,
employees or donated. Once again, my mind is blown as I'm about to pick back up the boxes of donuts that I placed in the breakout room table and take them back out to the dumpster. She snatches the boxes away from me and storms away. She probably thought I was gonna take them back home or something. And then she walks back to me and goes, someone can get real sick from eating those, you know? Okay, well, I picked the freshest donuts to put in the box from the batch we were about to throw out. How did I know they were fresh? Because I personally baked them like less than 3 hours ago. By the way, food is thrown out at the end of the day to create scarcity and so that employees don't make more food than they need to and take them home. It has nothing to do with protecting customers from food poisoning or some lovey-dovey stuff. And
it is, but not because they want to keep them safe. It is because on the off possible chance they can get, like, something actually is bad and they get sued from it, it's basically just risk minimization to the extreme. Like, they don't give a shit about the customers, but they do give a shit about being sued.
that doesn't even make any sense. If you rolled your trash can out the night before the trash collector comes and some dude or gal decides to rummage through it and gorge themselves on your leftovers and get sick, how much of a legal basis do they have to sue you? Not sponsored, by the way, but there are even apps like Too Good To Go where you can literally buy leftovers at a discount from various stores. So it obviously isn't about food safety unless paying for an item magically sanitizes it. Even if for some reason you don't want to donate the food to other people, why not let the employees take it home and, hell, even sign a waiver if that's what it takes? Anyways, I just thought I would say that because there are people out there whose favorite flavor of ice cream is boot. Night after night, I throw out these pastries. Again, they weren't moldy, they weren't even stale, they just committed the sin of being unsold and unwanted. On a particular day when the usual bin we had to dump all the pastries in inside the building was full, I rolled it out back to where the large green dumpsters were, and then I saw mountains, literally mountains of produce alongside more bakery items rolled out before me in the midst of being thrown away and locked. And at that moment, I decided on something. The donut heist. Now, there might be a corporate recruiter watching this video or someone who really enjoys Flavor Aid, and so I'm going to leave this message here. While you do have to do your job and follow orders, which is an excuse that didn't work at Nuremberg, okay, unless you want to get hired and work for NASA.
Jesus Christ! Holy shit! We just went from fucking 1 to 11 there.
You are also a human being. You damn well.
That line of corporate will replace you before the body is even coded, not an exaggeration. I was one of said replacements. I was hired 3 days after someone died. Jesus.
Know that this was all a tremendous waste of food then and now. And in this economy, there are people out there who could really use it. So call me a bad employee. And if at the end of the day you still want to suck on that boot flavor lollipop, then I can't stop you.
How dare you steal our trash?
If you're still outraged about what I'm about to do and ask yourself what is actually right and wrong. I would devise a plan to tactically acquire these leftover donuts so that they had a new home outside the dumpster. Except doing this would not be easy, as hiding boxes of donuts is not exactly something you can just slip underneath your clothing. Also, for the sake of YouTube guidelines, I'm not telling anyone to do anything illegal. So the plan was to park my car with my brand new license I just got behind the store next to the dumpsters. Then I could quickly, tactically throw the boxes of donuts into my car and then pretend like I was just throwing out the trash. The only problem with this plan is that, one, I would have to pass by my manager's office on my way back out. And sure, if I'm lucky, she could not be there, but it would also be much harder to explain if I am caught versus if Emily or some other coworker caught saw me. And 2, there was the problem of getting the boxes of packed donuts out of the store without someone going, "What the fuck are you doing?" And no, I wasn't gonna fish them off the dumpster either.
Yeah,
so
no,
the plan I decided on was to hide the boxes of donuts sealed with saran wrap in the bin we were supposed to throw.
Okay, I like this
inside
guy.
of the store. Then as I rolled the bin out back to dispose of the donuts, I would have the opportunity to take those sealed boxes out and then put them in my car and then get rid of everything else I couldn't package and take. The next time I work evening shift, I spend the first hours leading up to this heist staging everything I would need. These donut boxes came in flat and disassembled, and you would have to like pop the corners and assemble them. It wasn't hard to do. If you worked at a bakery, you know what I'm talking about. What that also meant was that it was
the argument they could make here is that you're stealing boxes. That's the argument a shitty manager is gonna make.
Easy to hide a shit ton of boxes inside the disposable room alongside a roll of saran wrap, so that when the moment came, I already had everything prepared. I didn't have to like walk around and start looking suspicious as hell with a bunch of stacked items. Anyways, as we get near closing time, and once again I'm tasked to throw away all the donuts and other pastries, I wheel the tray full of sweets into the back room and immediately run into a problem. Remember that this was a bakery in a supermarket, so the bakery department wasn't the only ones dumping into this trash bin. So there was already some produce and actually expired or rotting items in there. No worries, I could throw some plastic over the produce and then put the boxes on top, and that's why I also brought saran wrap to wrap up the sealed boxes and keep the stuff I don't want out of them.
I wonder if this workplace didn't have many cameras. I feel like there probably was a camera and he's just a fucking idiot.
The issue was that because this thing was already half full, I overestimated the amount of space I had to hide all these donut boxes. And so as I got to work trying to act not suspicious while packaging up all these boxes, I realized halfway that I could only fit like 2 boxes of packed donuts into the bin unless I wanted everything to be sticking over the edge. My new plan was to first empty this bin into the dumpster and then come back around for a second trip, this time filling the bin full of donut boxes and then going from there. And while I'm trying to figure this out, Emily comes in and she tells me that the manager needs me to help another worker lift some boxes in the storage room after I finished and throw away the current donuts I was trying to throw away. And so I couldn't take my sweet time making multiple trips either. I empty out the first bin into the dumpster and then I come back now with a now fresh new bin with a new plastic wrapping in it, and I begin loading up the 8 boxes of donuts, which works out pretty fine because now I don't have rotten food next to my donut pile. And why 8? Well, I don't know. I mean, 4 and 4 stacks pretty neatly. And
what are you doing with 8 boxes of donuts, man? That's what, 12 per box, 8 fucking, what is that, 84? 84 boxes of donuts? No, that's not right. 84, no, that's not right. 96? Sorry, I'm blanking on math. 96, sorry. Why the fuck did I say 84? 96. What the fuck are you doing with 96 donuts?
Once these 8 boxes were placed into the bin, on the top layer I threw some unpackaged donuts on top as camouflage and started rolling it out. As I'm heading out and making my way to the back, which takes probably around a 2-3 minute walk, Emily stops me and reminds me that they need me in the back room at the storage area to lift those boxes. I quickly say that, yeah, you know, don't worry, I'll be right there. I'm just quickly throw out these donuts and then don't worry, I'll be coming over. Then I see my manager walking over. Now she's not angry or anything. She just looks at me and says something like, "Oh yeah, hey, they need you in the back." And I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm just gonna quickly throw out these donuts like I was saying to Emily. Because I had taken extra time with the first trip and now I'm going for my second trip, I should have been out there in the back like 10 minutes ago. And so my manager's like, "Don't worry about those donuts, right? Someone else can wheel them out and just toss them in the trash bin. Just go to the back and help lift the boxes." My heart dropped. By the way, I should have mentioned this earlier, but they made all the guys lift the heavy boxes and stuff in the back, which is why they kept asking me specifically. Also the fact that I was new. Obviously, I can't stand there and look even more suspicious and argue or something like that, so I let go of the car and head back towards the storage area. This back area is essentially a long ass hallway with a bunch of side rooms and larger rooms with freezers and other stuff. The storage area wasn't along the way to the dumpsters, but you could see the door leading to the dumpsters from the entrance of the storage room, if that makes sense. I don't remember the exact layout after all these years, but I'll draw a rough sketch if I can. So as I'm stacking the boxes, I am tweaking out because all they had to do was sweep aside the first layer of donuts and they could see all the boxes, or if they just hit a big bump, all the donuts would just shift and would also reveal all the big boxes. Not to mention that once they started to actually dump the bin, they would also see all the boxes of donuts underneath. So as I'm going in and out of the storage area unloading things, I'm peering down the hallway to see if I can catch a glimpse of the bin leaving the building into this dumpster area. And I'm hoping that it's like Emily or somebody chill rolling out the bin, and so my plan was to make an excuse and quickly break off from loading the boxes, take over the dump operation, and at least quickly toss everything without anyone noticing, even if that meant no donuts for the donut heist. 2 minutes go by. Nothing. It wasn't that long of a walk from the bakery section to the dump site, so I was getting a little nervous. 5 minutes go by, still no bin. This is not good because the more time that passes by with no bin rolling by, the higher the odds that someone found out about these donut boxes that I had stashed. I finished stacking the boxes maybe around 15 minutes later, something like that, and I still don't see any bin being rolled by. However, I'm thinking, well, maybe I missed the cart being rolled by after all. I was going in and out of the storage area, and the window that I could see the cart could have been brief. And as I'm walking back to the bakery section, I'm just kind of coping and hoping that what I think is about to happen isn't about to happen. And I'm thinking, okay, if they did see these boxes of donuts, surely someone would have grabbed me earlier while I was still stacking those boxes and started questioning me then and there. Well, guess what? As I head back to my department, I see the bin still there with Emily and the manager standing right next to it and talking to each other. Amazing. They had caught me. And once they see me, the manager goes, "What is this?" And I see the boxes of donuts stacked up just like I had it with all the donuts on top moved to the side. That's called trash. I play it cool and I go, yeah, I'm supposed to throw them out. I thought someone else was supposed to do that for me since, I had to go to the storage room and stuff. And the manager goes, "Why are they packed in boxes?" I was in too deep and so I had to play a little stupid. And I go, huh? These were unsold. I put them in boxes earlier in the day in case someone wanted to buy them. That shit I said, it made no sense since you filled the boxes according to what the customer wants. Emily could have also ratted me out then and there and been like, wait, you didn't have those boxes earlier today. What are you talking about? But since she also thought this waste of food was a great
Wait, is Emily gonna be a lad?
Justice, she didn't say anything. The manager looks at me and I look at her and we just kind of had this pause for a moment and she's like, okay, well, take them all back and throw them away. Next time, don't put them in the boxes. And she proceeds to follow me all the way to the dumpster and she obviously knew I was up to something but couldn't prove it. And hey, I just played it nonchalant and got out of there. But this isn't over. The injustice of fresh food being thrown away every night was just too much for me to bear. I also wanted free donuts. And so I decided to wait a whole month before another attempt. And this time I would
this guy's smart. You can't do it immediately. Otherwise, they'll be onto you.
A simple and straightforward plan. This time, I would stack the donuts onto a cart we used to carry cakes and smaller items, cover the box and donuts with a tarp, and roll it straight out the front.
God. Maybe he is a fucking moron.
Door and into my car. If I was caught this time, there was really no
just like, yeah, I'm quitting, boys.
But I figured that looking confident and bored like I was on a mission was the best way to not be stopped. That evening rolls around and I do my usual, stashing those same boxes next to where my cart would be and where I would load up. When it came time to pull off the heist, I load everything up, and since I'm already going out the front door this time, there was a less of a chance of me running into the manager leaving her office. And then I just straight up walk out the door. No flair, no nonsense. I just acted like I was on a mission. I got to my car, tossed 8 boxes in the trunk, and walked back in. With the 8 boxes of donuts I had, I gave 2 to my family and the rest to my cross-country team, since at that time I was doing this summer long-distance running camp with them. And whatever I couldn't take that day, I threw into the dumpster. And for anyone watching this still upset, the donuts I took were gonna be thrown away and given to the rats. So, did I feel bad? No. Join my Discord and also check out my Twitch.
What a guy! What a fucking guy. He's got balls. He definitely does.
I hope you enjoyed this story, and hey, feel free to check out both my civilian and Marine Corps stories. Thank you so much for watching and making.
Sorry, he was in the fucking Marine. That explains why he's got balls. He was in the fucking Marine Corps. What a lad. Okay. I wouldn't be able to attempt that again. Yeah, I get it. If your manager was cool, she would just turn a blind eye. Yeah. I 1000% support this. I fucking hate unneeded food waste. Yeah, I agree. Like if we were selling the food 30 minutes ago, why are we throwing it out now? That was a great video. I enjoyed that. Ratmathy, great channel. Thank you for that. Whoever sent that one. I think it was from the Discord, wasn't it? Yeah, it was from the Discord. Thank you, Finn, on the Discord.